person's a mass murderer, it would be outside of God's justice to grant the wicked person and the murderer and the rapist a spot in paradise when they haven't repented for their crime with the righteous or the saintly person. It's like comparing Mother Teresa to Saddam Hussein. I mean, you can't make that comparison and say some people like that are equal. Is that thorough enough? Yes.
Is when like a woman does a crime and a man does a crime, are they like judged the same or like different?
Same punishments. Same punishments, or we can say rewards. But judges, judges in Islam, I mean, it's just like American jurisprudence or court system. When someone goes in front of a judge, the judge tries to discern motive. For example, if a person steals some food and then it's discerned that this person was starving, and that's the reason why they stole the food, they're not going to be imprisoned like how if a person has money in their bank and they go steal some food so they can resell the food. They're not punished. There's not one person would be punished, and where another person could be pardoned.
Then why do they look at men differently than women? Not involved in crime necessarily, just in the everyday. And right now, why do we have to be separated? Why do they look at women differently?
You saying why do they? Well, Muslims, and obviously I'm a Muslim. Muslims are just like any other religion. People have different cultures, and people have different interpretations of religion. So, example, the mosque that I'm normally at, women and men will sit at the same table. They won't sit on the opposite. They won't sit one side here or one side over there. But are you speaking? Give me a specific example that you're talking about. Besides sitting on the other side.
I mean, when we read about stuff, it talks about how the man is superior to the woman. Because in our culture, the woman, we give the woman, if we're standing in line to get food, the woman will go before the man.
That's cultural, it's not religious.
Okay. So,
and I do the same thing too.
Okay, so that doesn't really have anything to do with your religion necessarily. It has more to do with culture.
Let me say this. Islam, two things. If you're talking about the spiritual and intellectual makeup of a male and female, we believe those are equal. When it comes to physically, between a male and a female, in our roles in society, in the history of man, there is equity, but not total equality in regards to social roles. The Quran says that males are the maintainers of women because God has given man a certain degree of strength over women that they may go out and work and provide for them. It doesn't mean that the male is any more spiritual or any more intellectual. This is the history of mankind. Now, women can go out and work. They can make their own money. And actually, according to Islamic law, when a woman goes out and works, and by the way, also Islam says that education, seeking knowledge, is a religious obligation upon every Muslim male and female. So they're entitled to the same level of education. In Islam, if a woman goes out and works, and whatever she has in her paycheck, her husband cannot ask her for 1 penny of that money. Any money that she gives to her husband is like a charity for her or a gift to him. So, for example, I'm married. My wife has a job. I pay all the bills. That's her money. This is something that God has given the woman a favor. When the Prophet Muhammad, when he married his wife, Khadija, at the age of 25, she was 40. he initially worked for her. She was a businesswoman. She was rich. And he worked for her, and she saw him to be honest and a stand-up guy. And then she proposed and asked for him to marry her. Then he took over the business. But there's no limitations in Islam that a woman can't work, that she can't own a business, that she can't go to college or university. There's no such limitation. Now, if you see some things on TV, you may see in some cultures or some nations where you see some repression of women. But then you go to other Muslim countries and you see that Muslim women are totally integrated in society. The 3 largest Muslim countries have had female heads of state. Indonesia is the largest Muslim country. They have a female prime minister. Pakistan's had a female prime minister. Bangladesh has had a female prime minister. They've been the leaders of the state, like the president. So, culture informs a lot of things. We don't separate. There are some things that are in the text, and people interpret their text based upon their level of education and also their culture. Personally, I think what the Taliban was doing and barring women from going to school and having them put on forcing them to wear the burqa, I think that's un-Islamic. It has nothing to do with Islam, as far as I'm concerned. Yes?
I have been a missionary and in my own life, I've also seen miracles performed, but they were always in the prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. And once was in Africa and my own father was healed. And so I wondered how the Muslim culture could discredit the divinity of Christ if things like that, physical, actual things that we've seen happen, prayed solely in Jesus' name, not in Muhammad's name. I'm not going to say what to pray in Muhammad's name.
No.
Or how that would work.
Okay. Interesting question. I'll say this. First of all, just to clarify, Muslims do not worship any man. We don't worship Muhammad. Muhammad is just a human example, an excellent example. And we believe that Jesus Christ was a man. He's referred to in the Quran as many things in our traditions. He's referred to as a sign of God. He and his mother, the Immaculate Conception, was one of God's miracles and signs. We believe that he is what is called Kalamullah. He was the Word of God. He is called Ruhullah. He's called the Spirit of God. So he's referred to as a bringer of good news. The Shia, he's a bringer of good news. He brought the good news. The gospel means the good news. He brought the good news. To worship one God and do not associate any partners with him, according to the Islamic belief. What you just said right there, I think, speaks to the power of faith in human beings when human beings believe. I'll give you an example. I don't believe in Hinduism, but I've seen on National Geographic where a Hindu can walk on 1,200-degree coals. I've seen it on TV where a person took some paper and threw it on the coals, and the paper burned up immediately, caught on fire. Then I saw the Hindu guys walk around the coals and just twirl around in a circle and walk around, and his feet didn't even get burned. And the reason he didn't get burned because he believed that he wouldn't get burned. If I walked in those coals, I probably would catch on fire, because I don't think I can walk on coals. The power of faith in and of itself was enough to guard him for that. That's my answer to you in regards to that. Now, the divinity of Christ, according to Islam, or him not being divine. Let me say that there are 2 theological reasons in the Quran why we don't believe in the divinity of Christ. Although we love him and have respect for him, we have a different view of Jesus Christ. The first of these is that Muslims do not believe in the concept of original sin. We believe that Adam and his spouse slipped from the garden. They made an error, but they did not have an intentional desire, or they did not intentionally seek to transgress the commands of God. They forgot. They were tricked